Next time you walk into a supermarket, stop for a second and look around. Really look. You see thousands of products, bright colors, different logos, endless variety. You walk down the cereal aisle and see 50 different boxes. You walk down the beverage aisle and see 100 different drinks. You feel empowered. You feel like you have the freedom to choose. But what if I told you that freedom is a lie? What if I told you that almost every single dollar you spend in that building, whether you buy organic, budget, premium, or niche, ends up in the same pocket? There is a shadow entity sitting at the top of the food chain, a massive, invisible hand that steers the global economy, and you barely even know its name. You think you are voting with your wallet, but you are just depositing money into a bank account that already owns the bank? Let's start with a simple experiment. You want to buy a soda. You see a mountain of choices. You pick up a Sprite. That's owned by Coca-Cola. Okay, you want something different? Maybe a Fanta? Also Coca-Cola. Vitamin water? Coca-Cola. Smart water? Coca-Cola. Minute Maid? Coca-Cola. Fine, you switch teams. You go for Pepsi. But wait, you want a snack. You grab some Lay's chips, owned by PepsiCo. Cheetos? PepsiCo. Quaker Oats for breakfast? PepsiCo. Gatorade? PepsiCo. You see, this is what economists call the illusion of choice. In the consumer world, there aren't hundreds of companies competing for your business. There are really only about 10 massive conglomerates, giants like Nestle, PepsiCo, Coca-Cola, Unilever, Danone, General Mills, Kellogg's, Mars, Associated British Foods, and Mondelez that control almost everything you eat and drink. But that is not the secret. That is public knowledge. That is just corporate consolidation. The real secret, the one that should actually scare you, is who owns them. Because if you look at the shareholders of Coke and you look at the shareholders of Pepsi, you notice something strange. You see the same names at the very top of the list. If you look at the people who own the banks, the tech giants, the media companies, and the pharmaceutical industry, you see those exact same names again. We are talking about an entity that manages assets worth more than the GDP of entire countries like Germany and Japan combined. We are talking about BlackRock and Vanguard. These two investment titans are the largest shareholders in almost every major publicly traded company in the United States. They are the shadow company of the world. Let's break down exactly how this monopoly works, because it is unlike anything we have seen in history. Usually, a monopoly is when one company dominates a market, like if only one company sold cars. But this is different. This is an asset management monopoly. BlackRock and Vanguard manage money for pension funds, sovereign wealth funds, and individuals. They take that massive pool of trillions of dollars and buy shares in everything. And I mean everything. They own a huge chunk of Apple. They own a huge chunk of Microsoft. They own the airlines. They own the media networks you watch to get your news. And, of course, they own the supermarket. When BlackRock and Vanguard own significant shares in all the competitors in a single industry, it creates a situation called common ownership. Think about it. If you are a major shareholder in both United Airlines and Delta Airlines, do you really want them to compete aggressively against each other? Do you want them to lower prices to steal customers? No, that lowers profit margins. You want them to keep prices stable and high, so both companies make money for you. This is why prices feel like they are always going up in unison. It's why competition feels stagnant. The fierce battle between brands is just theater for the consumer. Behind the curtain, the managers are shaking hands because they report to the same boss. Now, you might be thinking, they are just asset managers. They don't control the companies. That is the biggest myth of all. When you own a significant percentage of a company's stock, you get voting rights. You get to vote on who sits on the board of directors. You get to vote on major company policies. BlackRock and Vanguard are often the top two shareholders in these companies, meaning they hold immense sway over corporate governance. CEO pay, environmental policies, mergers and acquisitions, nothing happens without their approval. CEO Larry Fink, the head of BlackRock, writes an annual letter to CEOs that basically dictates the direction of the corporate world. If he says jump, the biggest companies on earth ask how high. Let's go back to the supermarket for a moment. You are looking at the price of meat. It's up. Why? Well, there are supply chain issues, sure. But look at the major meat processing companies like Tyson Foods. Who are the top shareholders? BlackRock and Vanguard. Look at the fertilizer companies that farmers need to grow crops. BlackRock and Vanguard. Look at the energy companies that transport the food. BlackRock and Vanguard. They profit from every single link in the chain. When inflation hits and you are struggling to pay for groceries, their portfolio value goes up. They are hedging their bets against your livelihood. It gets even darker when you look at housing. In recent years, investment firms have started buying up single-family homes by the thousands, converting them into rentals. They are competing with regular families who want to buy a home, driving up prices, and turning a generation of people into permanent renters. Who is funding the firms doing this? Who is investing in this shift from ownership to usership? The money trail leads back to the same massive pools of capital managed by these giants. They are effectively becoming the landlords of the world, deciding who gets to live where and for how much. And what about the media? If you want to find out about this, you turn on the news. But who owns the major media conglomerates? Disney, Comcast, Warner Brothers Discovery? Check the shareholder lists. The same two names appear at the top. This creates a massive conflict of interest. Can a news network objectively report on the dangers of asset management monopolies when those same monopolies are their biggest investors? It's a closed loop. The companies that sell you the food, the companies that sell you the medicine to treat the sickness from the food, and the media companies that tell you what to think about it all, are all anchored by the same financial heavyweights. So, how did they get this big? It started with the invention of the index fund. Jack Bogle founded Vanguard on the idea that instead of trying to beat the stock market, you should just buy the whole market. It was a brilliant idea for average investors. Low fees, steady growth. BlackRock took this to the next level with their technology platform, Aladdin. Aladdin is a supercomputer system that monitors risk and manages assets. It is so powerful that even the US government uses it to manage financial crises. Aladdin effectively sees the entire global economy in real time. It knows more than any government, any regulator, or any individual. It is the central nervous system of modern capitalism. The danger here isn't necessarily a conspiracy of evil men smoking cigars in a back room. The danger is the centralization of power. When two firms control over $15 to $20 trillion in assets, they become too big to fail on a scale we cannot comprehend. If BlackRock were to collapse, the entire global financial system would evaporate. This gives them leverage over governments. They aren't just market participants anymore. They are the market. Is there a way out? Some politicians are calling for antitrust laws to be updated. They argue that owning competitors in the same industry should be illegal. There are movements to break up these massive asset pools or limit their voting power. But the lobby power of $20 trillion is hard to fight. For now, the best thing you can do is wake up. Realize that the variety on the shelf is a hologram. Understand that every time you swipe your card, you are feeding the beast. The world isn't run by politicians. It's run by the people who own the debt and the equity. Next time you walk into that supermarket, look past the colorful logos and the cute mascots. Look at the invisible threads pulling the strings. Because once you see the shadow company, you can never unsee it.